welcome to Mad Medicine with Miss P. I know it's been a month, so this is now May. I took the entire month of April off because April was a dumpster fire. April 1st started one of the most difficult and upsetting experiences of my life, and then a few days later, it got even worse. So since the entire month just sucked huge, other than the fact that my dear friends came to visit, which was awesome, best time ever. It was a difficult month, and I just didn't have time or the attitude to want to do anything that's fun because I do have some fun stuff. I got front and backs here, and I've been in a different department for a while now, so I have a lot of content. Got quite a bit today, actually. Really good stuff. Good stuff today. So one I just wanted to start on, and I wasn't sure if this is what she meant, and then I had to look it up. I listened to this one YouTuber, God bless, and this is just, we're just venting. We're not making fun of people. I mean, people suck all over the place, but just in general, we're not making fun of anybody. We're just pointing out silly things people say and do, and I've done plenty of these, but not this one, however. This YouTuber I watch, and I love her. She's a good girl. She tries hard, but she's just wildly illiterate. So painful. And yeah, she says supposedly all the time. She says it all the time. God bless her. Anyway, she had called this one girl pre-Madonna. That's when you're Madonna beforehand, a pre-Madonna. Did I mention that? I may have mentioned that over a month ago. It's still in my head, a pre-Madonna. Not a prima donna, a pre-Madonna. Like maybe that's the late 70s if you're pre-Madonna. I don't know. Anyway, I did have a patient, I may have told you this before. Usually I cross them out if I talked about them, so maybe I didn't. This patient takes clonidine 0.1 milligram twice a day, but it's not for blood pressure. Okay, like I've said before, that the pill doesn't know what it's for. It's going to alter your blood pressure. So if you think you don't have uncontrolled hypertension, or maybe controlled hypertension, with the clonidine you're taking, just saying. Okay, now what I really like is when the patients can type in their own stuff. The thing is, when you're putting in your meds, as long as you spell it correctly, it will give you options and choices. So as soon as you start putting in A and then S and then T, you have all these options. So how this person charted that they take Astravasan, I don't know. Astravasan 80 milligrams every night. Now, what they mean is atorvastatin, but I don't know how they could have misspelled it so badly. This one guy put in all his stuff, but I noticed like his doses were a little off, and I was a little confused. So I was like, I think, and also the way it's put in, I can't really describe it, but you can kind of tell whether the computer did it itself. Like it will change certain letters. Like you'll have like capital letters in the middle of the med. And I know you've seen this on H&Ps when it's dictated and you can tell they've typed it in. It's really bizarre. It's like prednisone, PRED, or like capital D, lowercase I, lowercase S, capital NON, or ONE. And you're like, what, why is that? And I don't know why it is. It must be some, I don't know, however they do it, to maybe because other medications can look like them. So they kind of point it out to where it forces you to really read each letter. That's the only thing I can assume. But this one guy, he misspelled every single one. He's like, well, I read it off my list. I'm like, well, that's because your list was handwritten and it was wrong. So you need to read it off the bottle. And patients are forever like, oh, there's not a milligram on the bottle. I'm sorry, are you suggesting that the pharmacist gave you a bottle of medication that wasn't labeled? That's illegal. There has to be a dose somewhere on there. And every single time, no matter how many times they spin that bottle around, get their husband to look, get their wife to look, let me go get my glasses, there's always a number on the bottle. So quit telling me you take hydrocodone 325 milligrams. That's a lethal dose. So read it again. What's the number before the 325? That's the hydrocodone dose. And by the way, that medication is called Lortab. Stop calling it hydrocodone. It's called Lortab. When it doesn't have acetaminophen with it, then it's just hydrocodone. But it never is. It never is. Sometimes oxycodone is, but hydrocodone is never alone. It's always with Tylenol, Ergo, Lortab, or one of the other name brands. This was one of my favorites. The patient said they had a discoscopy. That's where you put a camera inside the disc of your spine. A discoscopy. I don't even know. Maybe they meant discogram. I don't know. My all-time favorite, though, and I really wanted to write this down, but my daughter took her easel back and wrote all over it. She's like, "Can I erase this easel?" I said, "Well, what's on it?" "I don't know. Some letter. It says P and SA and Q. Can I erase it?" I'm like, "Yeah, erase it. I'll redo it." This patient, they now remember, they can chart this on their own. They type this in on their own. This patient had a quadruple bypass. Quadruple. It's quadruple. So you think that is 4 plus 7? Is that 4 times 7 or 4 times 3? So it's 12 vessels that they bypassed. Many vessels. And then if it said, "Did you have a cabbage?" And it prints out, it says coronary artery bypass grafting. They said no. But you had a quadruple bypass, but you didn't have a coronary artery bypass grafting. You did, but for some reason you don't know what that is at all. And again, not really blaming the patients here, kind of blaming the doctors and nurses that took care of this patient. Not that everyone is educationable, not a word. Not that you can teach everybody, because I have had that individual where I'm explaining something over and over and over, and they're just not getting it. I told you the story. I told you the story when I'm at the patient's house, and I refuse to dumb down anything. I will change it in a way someone can understand it, but I'm not going to talk to somebody that they're too stupid to understand. I'm not going to assume they're stupid until they prove it to me, and this gentleman did. So, and I know I told you this, he's rocking in his chair wanting me to hurry up so they can go for their catfish dinner. I still don't understand. Everybody in this state just loves catfish. Okay, you can't eat it in Florida. It tastes like gravel, but up here, everyone loves it. That's fine. Beautiful, clear waters. I'm sure it's great. One day I'm going to try it, I swear. So he's kind of wanting me to hurry, and I'm thinking, why am I coming to your house to do this test if you can leave the house to go out to eat? At any rate, I'm getting paid. I'll do it. So I'm there to do a PT-INR. So I get the result, and I tell them the result, and he's like, "Well, is that too thick or too thin?" I said, "Well, it's really not about thick or thin. It's not viscosity of the blood. We're not, determining whether she's dehydrated. What we're trying to find out is time. How long does it take for her to clot? So this is about how many seconds. You and I will clot in about, 22 seconds, 23 seconds. It's taking her a lot longer. So there's kind of a ratio that they've created this different sort of formula. So with hers being, 4.0, that's a little higher than we'd wanted. So it's taking her a really long time to clot." And he looks at me for a minute, he goes, "So does that mean her blood's too thick or too thin?" I'm like, okay, again, it's not about thick or thin, because that doesn't have anything to do with clotting. You could be super hydrated and drink gallons and gallons of water every day, not going to make you bleed any more or any less. You could be dehydrated on a deserted island, again, not really going to make you bleed any more or any less, or clot any faster or any slower. It's really about the clotting factors in our bloodstream. And that's it. I didn't go into detail. I'm not talking about the cascade events that form a clot, and the intrinsic and extrinsic, and which letters are where, and where all of these things tie in. So he's rocking his chair, and he looks at me and he goes, "Well, so right now, is her blood too thick or too thin?" I'm like, "It's too thin." That guy was not going to ever understand it, and I just gave up. But everybody else, I'm not going to give up on you until you prove me that you are not teachable. I'm not going to give up on you. Okay. I think this person said that they're allergic to lisinopril because they had swollen liposuction. I guess that was the reaction. I don't know. Yes. So, and also people think a heart murmur has anything to do with an arrhythmia. Again, blaming cardiologists here. When I tell you, no patient knows what arrhythmia they have unless they're a doctor or nurse or married to a doctor or nurse. They literally say, "Well, I have an arrhythmia." Okay, what is it? "Oh, the doctor didn't say." Are you sure? Like, he didn't mention it anywhere. It wasn't in any note, nothing like that. You wore a Holter monitor for a while, and he didn't say anything about you were bradycardic, and that's why you're passed out, and they were worried about it, or he listened to your heart. The thing is, when you have an arrhythmia, and unless you just have symptoms and you come into the office and you're in sinus rhythm, they can't figure out why you're having all these issues, which is why you made your appointment at the cardiologist. It doesn't make any sense to not have a rhythm. If I put an EKG on you right now, I'm going to have a rhythm. I'm going to tell you this is your rhythm. You're in sinus rhythm. You are in sinus arrhythmia. You are in first degree AV block. You are in sinus rhythm with periodic pauses. You're in second degree AV block type 1. Like, I'm looking at the rhythm. I can tell you what it is. I'm looking at it. So if you have an arrhythmia, then there's a name for that. That's like saying, I have a car. Okay, what kind of car? I don't know. It's the kind you drive. Right, but there's like jillions of different kind of cars. Can you be a little more specific? Well, it's blue. Okay, again, like, what is wrong with you? I mean, what kind of car do you have? It's the same thing here, only much, much more important, as it is in fact your heart. Still, they have no idea. Blaming the doctors a little more here than the patients, but if you can spend 2 or 3 hours a day on YouTube or online shopping, you can look up your arrhythmia. You can ask your doctor. You can make an attempt to know something about your own body. You can do it. They don't, but you can. So everybody thinks that if they have a murmur, that is an arrhythmia. Does anybody know what a murmur actually means? Anybody? Anybody? Is anybody out there? You know what a murmur is? It's usually like a valve issue, something where the blood isn't flowing correctly through there. Generally not electric for the most part. I mean, it can be related, but for the most part, it's a valve that is allowing like a regurg. So you're hearing kind of a swoosh or some sort of movement of blood, which is not going exactly the way it should. Maybe not as fast or too fast or backward or something to that effect. It has nothing to do with your rhythm for the most part. It's not related at all. Everybody thinks it is, though. Everybody thinks it is. Oh, this one person, granted it was a typo, still laughed out loud. It'll say name of your surgery, and then you have to type in like the year, just says, about what year. And whether it was 2005, 2004, 2006, or 2009, we don't care. Just put a year in there, a roundabout. Was it, a couple years ago, or was it 30 years ago? Give us something, right? So, and a lot of times they'll write in like as a child, or I don't remember, or I was 30 years old, and I just delete it, and then I'll re-put in the actual I'll do the math and put in the actual time. So this one patient wrote in that she had breast implants at age 9. Let's hope that's not real. I'm going to assume that was a typo. I'm hoping it was 39 or 49, whatever floats your boat. Oh, this was one of my all-time favorites. The patient, for his gastric reflux, he takes Omniprozac in case his stomach has little anxiety, maybe depression. That's a depressive gastric mucosa. He takes the old Omniprozac. He was so cute, I couldn't even fix it. I just charted. How much is that? Is that 20 milligrams first thing in the morning for your stomach? Okay. I charted omeprazole, but the Omniprozac, God, that is a good thing. Okay, no joke. This, I got some props here. This lady, I kid you not, she told me she is 71 years old. And she said, do I have to take all the metal off my body? I'm like, well, yeah, kind of. He's going to use electric cautery, and unlikely as it may be, if for whatever reason the Bovie pad fails, which, we don't expect. But, if it did, we'd just like to make sure that, it doesn't, any electricity that we kind of introduce doesn't conduct to travel through that metal and burn you. And she says, well, I have 2 new piercings. She didn't say I just got my ears pierced. She said, I have 2 new piercings. I was too scared to ask where they may be, as she was 71 years old. But you know what? I don't even care where they are. Props to Grandma Piercing. And okay, I got quite a few others here, but I'm probably going to get to them next time, because I got to go start the horses. My daughter's at church, and I've got 100 other things to do, so I'm just gonna end it here. So I miss everybody dearly, and I'm sure you miss us greatly. The 9 people of you still watching, I'm sure you miss us greatly. So same as always, face your fears, forget your failures, follow your faith. And hopefully I'll be back next week, and I'll give you a little more content. And then listen, if I keep doing this and I still have tons of content, I may never get to finish any educational things. And my son told me to do some shorts. I don't know how to do that. So we'll see. Cross your fingers. Maybe I'll figure it out and put something out there. All right, gang. Love you. See you soon.